How you guys all doing? It's been a long time since I've done a video talking about my thoughts on wrestling. First, I know we're now September. We're now in the month of September of 2020, and the Undertaker did retire at WrestleMania this year back in April. His last match against AJ Styles, Undertaker retired after being in the WWE since 1990 Survivor Series. It's been there for 30 years and plus another couple years back then when he was in WCW and a couple years in Independence. So around maybe since 30 something years. I forgot when he really debuted in wrestling, but WWE at least since 1990 Survivor Series finally retired. In my opinion, until the pandemic, the coronavirus is over, and they allow indoor attendance. If they don't allow it if they do allow live events, especially WrestleMania next year, having people in attendance, I truly believe maybe, I might be insane, but maybe he will have one more match. And if he does have one more match, his official last match, it should be against Sting, inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2021, and have his last match the next night WrestleMania against Sting. Because I'm telling you, the only thing Undertaker that has never done that he still needed to wrestle, the only person he should have still wrestled against was against Sting. It's a dream match for everyone, for all fans, including for Sting and the Undertaker. AJ Styles is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. He is the heart and soul of TNA. But to me, I don't like his last match. If his last match will be a boneyard match against AJ Styles, I'm not a fan of that. I mean, AJ Styles is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, but for the Undertaker, it's great that Undertaker did wrestle Goldberg. You know, it was a Holbrook match back at in Saudi Arabia. I forgot the name of the freaking pay-per-view, but again, that was a Holbrook match, and I'm glad he did wrestle AJ Styles one time. But again, that was a boneyard match, and of course, the reason why they had it because Undertaker wasn't really ready to go physically to wrestle in the ring because it was due to his advanced age. Now, so the Undertaker last match is a boneyard match against AJ Styles WrestleMania. I'm sorry to accept that, and hopefully, if the coronavirus, the pandemic thing's not lifted by next year, maybe 2022, I'm just hoping he needs to have one more match against Sting. One match against Sting. Truly, Sting's run in WWE was a joke. Debuted Survivor Series 2014, attacking Triple H. Lost Triple H WrestleMania for for Triple H to bury another guy another WCW guy, and then he'd had his first match in Raw against Big Show. Historical moment. Finally wrestled on Raw, but lost to Seth Rollins. No, Sting should have wrestled The Undertaker. But Seth Rollins, just like he's known for, he's known for injuring a lot of people he's wrestled against. And Sting was one of the, hopefully Sting, I think Sting's 60. He either turned 60 or he's in his late 50s. But Taker versus Sting needs to happen. Taker, he always trains for at least a year. Perhaps just have one or two matches every year, and it all depends on Sting if he could wrestle or not. But officially, I think he did retire a couple years ago. But hopefully, they can sort of make that happen. Regardless, they are over 50. I just wish Taker's last match should be against Sting, and that's it. I want to talk about AEW. AEW is barely, it's barely a year old, a little over a year old company. Has been NXT 80% of the time in the ratings, or even more than that. Impact Wrestling, yes, I ain't wearing the shirt. I just got the shirt because I like the shirt, but Impact Wrestling, TNA Wrestling, TNA, Impact Wrestling, it's such a shame. They're not officially out of business. You know, RVD and Scott Steiner, some other people are in there, but I don't think no one really watches Impact Wrestling. I could be wrong. Some of you guys might watch Impact Wrestling, but the big buzz is only about AEW and SmackDown. For me, I just watched SmackDown for two reasons, honestly, for AJ Styles and Mandy Rose. I do like what's that guy they call him, the original bro, Matt Riddle, and I do like the New Day. For Raw, I mean, who could watch Raw? I mean, first of all, those commentators are horrible. That's why they had to put some Mojo in there, because those two announcers are horrible. Forget their names, but I mean, a lot of people has given a lot of shit to Michael Cole. A lot of people don't like. I mean, Michael Cole has been commentating in WWE, especially on SmackDown, forever, since before '97, before Brett got screwed in the Macho Screwjob, before he left for WWE to WCW. But AEW is very, it was pretty enjoyable to watch. Just a lot of stuff that, it's kind of hard to say. It doesn't really feel, especially the main event doesn't really have a main event. So they need to do more promos, more, I mean, they did good on the build up, but just some stuff AEW can improve. Some of you guys might like AEW, some of you guys might not like AEW. But they still have pretty good, entertaining matches. Especially, I love their tag team division. I love FTR. I love FTR, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and I'm so sorry. Forgot the other. I forgot his partner. The one that he's supposed to. He's the actual main eventer. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. They're a great tag team. Adam Page. I'm so sorry, guys. I forgot. I forgot his name. Kenny Omega, and he's such a good wrestler. He's only 29 years old. Forgot his name, but great tag team. I love Chris Jericho's. A lot of people don't like. Probably some of you guys didn't. You know, Chris Jericho's. He just turned 50. He was born in 1970. He is fat, but yes, he was the first AEW champion. But now he's not. Hasn't been in the main event picture for since March or April this year. He put over got his name, the best friends, Orange Cassidy. He put him over. The second match was pretty good on AEW Dynamite. And the first match was really good too. And that pay-per-view, I forgot the name of it. You guys know what I'm talking about. Look, Chris Jericho, his Judas theme is amazing. I think, to me, this might sound ridiculous, but with Chris Jericho, first of all, he looks more of a main event and looks more incredible with longer hair than short hair. I don't know what it is. He looks more. I'm glad he grew his hair out, because I mean, it's kind of weird, but for him to have long hair, more incredible, looks more of a main eventer, but it doesn't really affect his ring style. It might sound ridiculous, but you guys should know what I'm talking about. But Chris Jericho, he obviously left the WWE because he felt like he wasn't used properly, and he wanted to go to AEW because he wants to be back in the main event. He knew if he stayed WWE, he would never be the champion. I don't know, never be in the title picture. With Chris Jericho, now I want to talk about Chris Jericho. If you look back in when he was really in his peak was not really from 2007. From 2007, when he came back after almost two-year layoff the first time, from 2007 to 2015. To me, Chris Jericho was the very first ever WWE undisputed champion. After WWF bought WCW out, had the whole invasion storyline, and then they combined the titles. The Rock was the WCW champion, but they renamed that to the World Champion. It was on Vengeance 2001. It was Stone Cold defending the WWE Championship against Chris Jericho. The Rock defending the World Championship against Stone Cold defending the WWE title against Kurt Angle, and then The Rock defending the World title against Chris Jericho. Y2J, Chris Jericho beat The Rock. Stone Cold successfully defended the title against Kurt Angle. And then you had Stone Cold, the WWE champion, versus the world champion Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho beat Stone Cold, beat The Rock in Austin one night. And Chris Jericho became unified, the first ever undisputed champion. He had a great title reign. He beat The Rock in Royal Rumble 2002, and he beat Stone Cold in the No Way Out 2002. Thanks to the interference from Hogan, Nash, and Hall in No Way Out 2002. But again, Triple H, after coming back from 8 months, Triple H did beat Chris Jericho in that WrestleMania 18 main event match. That match was not it didn't reach expectations. Even Chris Jericho said he did not like that match. He was fond of that match. I thought the build-up was amazing, especially, you know, it was Chris Jericho and Stephanie against Triple H. But with Chris Jericho, they really jumped the ball. So for Triple H to beat Chris Jericho again, Judgment Day 2002. After Judgment Day 2002, when Triple H beat Chris Jericho, I think Chris Jericho got a little feud with Hogan, but after that, Chris Jericho, the very first unified champion, and also too in No Mercy 2001, he finally won the big one, won the world title. He beat The Rock for the WWE title during the Invasion storyline. So, but after Judgment Day 2002, they didn't really do anything with Chris Jericho. I mean, yeah, he had a great match against Ric Flair SummerSlam 2002, and him and Christian won the tag team titles in the fall 2002. He was part of the Elimination Chamber, the very first Elimination Chamber when Triple H defended the world title against Booker T, Kane, RVD, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels won that, and then Chris Jericho won the Intercontinental Champion again. So after Judgment Day 2002 and after being the main event of WrestleMania, he went to a mid-carder. And then, in 2003, it was mostly I think he did win the Intercontinental title again in 2002 and 2003, but it was about him having that amazing match against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 19, and then having another rematch with Shawn Michaels again, and the debut of the JerichoTron, that segment. But in 2004, then he had the whole thing with Trish Stratus and Christian. Lost to Christian at WrestleMania 20 2004 because Trish Stratus turned against him, cost him the match. And then he won the Intercontinental title again. And then Chris Jericho, I think Chris Jericho from 2002, I mean, he didn't have a main event or a title shot again until, was it SummerSlam 2005? Or was it another triple threat match he had with Cena and Christian? I forgot, but he didn't have another title shot until 2005. So the point I'm trying to get at, ladies and gentlemen, is that, the WWE, after Stone Cold walked out, Stone Cold and The Rock left for Hollywood, and then Stone Cold walked out. Yes, you still had Triple H and Undertaker, and after the very first brand extension, they pushed Brock Lesnar mostly on SmackDown and Triple H on Raw. So, I mean, Triple H he did beat. We're going a lot in another video with Triple H buried Randy Orton. Well, first Kane, Booker T, RVD. RVD didn't really care. We'll talk about more of that in another video. But not only did Chris Jericho get another title shot, especially when Triple H was running on Raw with Evolution, but they put the belt on JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, Bradshaw bridging from APA, from when he beat Eddie Guerrero at Great American Bash in May or June 2004. JBL had a title reign from May 2004 or June 2004 up to he lost Cena at March or April 2005 he lost the belt to Cena at WrestleMania 21. Now, if you guys don't know, JPL became champion because of loyalty. He was part of that Texas clique. I'm not sure it was with Michael Hayes. I'm sorry, I forgot who that could clear. I'm not sure it's because of Michael Hayes, but basically got the title because of loyalty and the whole that George Bush W character Republican thing. But why wasn't Chris Jericho given the title instead of John Bradshaw Layfield? I understand they didn't want to put the title on Booker T because he's a WCW guy. And, Chris Jericho should have been champion, in my opinion, instead of John Bradshaw Layfield. Because Chris Jericho, yes, he's not as big as Austin The Rock, but even back before he won the WCW title, he was over with the crowd. He showed a lot of merchandise. He had every time he would come out, he'd get a huge ovation. His entrance, his music was loud as hell, and he was over with the fans. He was a fan favorite. And why didn't he get a title shot? I mean, why didn't they put the belt on him? I mean, and John Bradshaw, I don't know to this day why John Bradshaw Layfield had an 8-9 month title reign. But finally, Chris Jericho, came back in 2007, won the world title. But to me, Chris Jericho never won the WWE title or even the Universal title, the world title. But to me, the WWE title is more prestigious than the World Heavyweight Championship. Okay. Now, so I'll talk about The Undertaker. A little quick rant on Chris Jericho. Roman Reigns came back. A lot of, Roman Reigns has been criticized, heavily viewed by fans the most since Cena. And it's because the reason why fans boo Roman Reigns is because they know that there's other people on the roster that we should push more than Roman Reigns. I mean, we have Roman Reigns. First of all, Roman Reigns won. You guys probably don't care, but he won in the Slammy Awards. He won the Superstar of the Year, I think, in the end of 2014. But he never won his first World Championship until 2015, 2016. Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, to me, beating a significant wrestler at Mania, whether it's in the title picture or not, is still a big deal to their legacy. He beat Triple H. He beat Undertaker. Now, first of all, The Undertaker was supposed to retire at WrestleMania 2017. WrestleMania 2017, which WrestleMania was that, guys? That was at WrestleMania... WrestleMania 33. That match against Undertaker was heavily criticized. Even Undertaker and Roman Reigns, especially Undertaker, were not satisfied with that match. And practically the reason why Undertaker didn't retire, because he didn't want to retire on a shitty match he had with Roman Reigns. Now you could blame both Roman Reigns and Undertaker. Even though Undertaker had a year to prepare for that match, everyone knows Undertaker is not in his prime. He has not been in his prime since. Has never been the same since really against Shawn the second time in 2010 or Triple H in 2012. But Undertaker is an advanced age. He was over 50. The person that should have given more blame for that match was not only Undertaker, but Roman Reigns deserves to be more criticized for not giving a great match, because he's much younger than Undertaker and he's basically in his prime. So yeah, Roman Reigns needs to take some responsibility on that. But Roman Reigns more. He has a look. He has it's kind of like a smaller version, maybe 2-inch shorter version. Undertaker, very athletic. He's a pretty good wrestler, but he just doesn't have it. He just doesn't have it, just like Bobby Lashley doesn't have it, just like The Miz doesn't have it. Even though, first of all, I'm for the last maybe over 10 years I couldn't stand The Miz, but I've noticed and gained to respect him because he has a lot of passion for wrestling. I mean, there's a lot of wrestlers that have a lot of passion too, but he doesn't have to. I think he's made enough money. He's been with Maurice. He's main event in WrestleMania. Beat Cena, defended the title against WrestleMania, but that's what got to me. WrestleMania 27 and WrestleMania 11 are probably the two WrestleManias of all time, and him beating Cena. The Miz should not have never been the main event, and him beating Cena thanks to The Rock, it's one of the worst WrestleMania main events of all time in my opinion. But again, Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley. JBL, Scott Steiner, they just don't have the it factor to be in the main event and to ever be world champion. Because just like Bobby Lashley, no one really cares about Bobby Lashley at all. And Roman Reigns, just like Sheamus, a lot of people, some of you guys might like Sheamus. First of all, I love his finish of the bro kick. The Sheamus is not. He's won the world title, but Sheamus is mostly a U.S. Intercontinental level mid carder. Not really. He's not like. Doesn't have the effect. Whether you like Cena or not, John Cena is the biggest superstar of a wrestler since Rock and Austin, since the Attitude Era ended. Basically, the WWE really made two stars since at the end of the Attitude Era. John Cena and Brock Lesnar. Now, Brock Lesnar had a great 2-year run. He was dominant, but he didn't really get a big household name until he fought in the UFC from 2008 until 2011. Fought again in 2016, but him coming back, he was more of a star coming back in 2012 because he was in UFC. He broke some records in UFC, buy rates. Daniel Bryan, yes, but he was already beloved and known in ROH. So WWE didn't really make him, just like WWE didn't make AJ Styles. AJ Styles was already a big name when he debuted in 2016 because his run in ROH and TNA. And first of all, AJ Styles is the heart and soul of TNA. AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Sting, Kurt Angle, also Samoa Joe's X Division title run was great. Now, it's a long video, ladies and gentlemen. Now I want to go to, how TNA really fucked up. First, it all started to me now when Kurt Angle debuted. First of all, the way they had Kurt Angle debuted in TNA, he should never face Samoa Joe off the bat, in my opinion. They should have built up, have Kurt Angle win a couple of matches leading up, then face Samoa Joe. But forget about that. Okay, so around the same time, maybe a couple weeks later, they hired Vince Russo, Dixie Carter, or Jeff Jarrett. Hired Vince Russo. If you guys don't know, Jim Cornette was heavily supposed idea. Vince Russo was responsible for that Sting versus Abyss match, and he was responsible for that match on Lockdown. The Team 3D versus LAX. But to me, TNA, Samoa Joe finally winning the title at Lockdown 2008 after Kurt Angle beat him again. What was that match? That stupid pay-per-view, that stupid match for winner take all when Kurt Angle beat Samoa Joe to take all the titles. Was that victory road, ladies and gentlemen? Was that hard justice? I forgot, but that really ruined Samoa Joe, and then Samoa Joe should have won the title much sooner than he went in Lockdown April 2008. He did have a good title reign, but he lost the title to Sting at Bound for Glory in 2008. And then, yeah, ridiculous. Then TNA getting Booker T, signing Booker T. I'm a fan of Booker T, but Booker T was way past his prime. Booker T he's never been really the same since Triple H squashed and buried him, in my opinion, WrestleMania 19. And then again, the last one, King Booker won the World Championship against Rey Mysterio. I think Great American Bash 2006. But they signed Booker T, and Samoa Joe did beat him. Was it Victory Road 2008 or something? He did beat him at pay-per-view. But them signing Booker T and Mick Foley, we had a Sting versus Mick Foley main event. Come on, Sting versus Mick Foley in TNA, and Mick Foley versus Sting in TNA as main event for the. I think Sting or Mick Foley defended the title against. They were part of the TNA World Heavyweight. They were part of the TNA World Heavyweight title picture. Sting versus Mick Foley. Come on. So TNA really screwed up by signing a lot of WWE names. They forgot about Christian Cage. AJ didn't really get the title picture until 2009, 2010, and he lost to RVD. Them signing Booker T, Mick Foley, and the whole main event Mafia was ridiculous. The whole main event Mafia thing was, yeah, they really dropped the ball on that. But things starting to pick up when AJ was champion, and again they had another Christopher Daniels and AJ. Christopher Daniels, AJ, and Samoa Joe had another triple match, and also in the fall of 2009, TNA signed Hulk Hogan, and then, Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, and then Vince Russo. TNA really dropped their were brought to the dance. It was very confusing, a lot of missed bookings. Then Jim Cornette had to get the fuck out of there because creative differences with Vince Russo. Okay, guys, it's kind of a long video. I know it's probably a crappy video. Like I just got from work. I feel like just talking about this. Trust me, there'll be more videos in the future. Being better, being more organized than this. So quick rant. Might be a little bit boring, but thanks for watching. You guys take care.